Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the episode of the Coach Cody podcast. It is officially October, which is really hard to believe because it's still hot as balls outside, at least here in California. And, there's just a whole lot of weird weather and shit going on. If you haven't been watching the news, I won't go into that. But it's also the month where I feel like all of the Halloween stuff starts going up, and then we kind of quickly move into Christmas. It's almost just like we hit October and it just becomes Christmas. We're almost skipping Halloween and all that. But personally, I don't know about you guys, but I used to be a lot more into Halloween. But since I'm trans, I feel like I used to use it as a way to actually still be myself or someone I wanted to be. But now, well, I'm also an adult, so obviously it's not appealing for those reasons. No knock on you if you're an adult who loves Halloween. But I don't think I have not dressed up for Halloween since I transitioned. So that was almost 10 years ago. And I think it's just because I spent so many days not being myself or not being seen as myself that I just have no desire to dress up or be anyone else. Sorry, just a random little fact there. If you're trans, let me know if you feel the same. Or if not, maybe I'm just a party pooper, which could also be very true because I'm not really a party person. And it's creepy. And I grew up in a, Christian household. I grew up religious. I went to Christian school and went to church every Sunday. And so Halloween was always that thing that was frowned upon. We had harvest festivals instead of trick-or-treating or Halloween stuff. We did not celebrate this. We did not celebrate Halloween at my school, I'll just say. So churches, it's the harvest festival. You still dressed up, but you didn't dress up in anything creepy or slutty. And you just kind of went through, I remember one church harvest festival I went to with a friend, and they had little booths with games. It was almost like a little carnival, but I think we were dressed as scarecrows. So that's about as creepy as it gets in the Christian realm of things. But now that I can participate fully in Halloween, I still just have no desire to do so. But anyways, moving on from that, I did want to go over a quick study about getting less sleep and sugar cravings. So this study, in summary, so this is a systematic review, I can talk, of experimental and observational studies of short sleep duration and its association with increased preference for sweeter taste. But mind you, no other tastes like salt and stuff were studied along with this. So this is specifically to sugar/sweet cravings. So what was studied? The effect of short, and this also ties into Halloween candy, by the way. Kind of skipped over that one. So if you're sleep deprived, be careful. Anyways, so what was studied? The effect of short sleep duration on the function and perception, intensity, preference, pleasure, taste. So who was studied? Adult participants, mostly age 18 to 32, but up to 82 in some studies, without known health conditions and with BMIs in the normal, overweight, and obese ranges. So how was it studied? The systematic review included 13 studies, 7 randomized controlled trials, and 6 cross-sectional studies. 8 studies were conducted in the United States, and 1 each in Brazil, Turkey, Spain, Sweden, and Japan. The RCTs evaluated sweet 6 studies, salty 3 studies, and sour 1 study taste. The cross-sectional studies evaluated sweet 6 studies, salty 4 studies, sour 4 studies, bitter 4 studies, and umami 2 studies tastes. So sleep measures. Duration and quality were often assessed with self-reported questionnaires by the Pittsburgh Sleep Quality Index. But some studies also use objective measurements methods, electroencephalogram. Generally, sleep restriction. The intervention was defined as less than 6 hours per night. Short sleep and habitual sleep, the control, was defined as 7 to 9 hours. So taste was often tested using solutions of compounds known to trigger specific taste receptors. Example, sucrose for sweet taste, MSG for umami, and the preferred concentrations were assessed using the Monell forced choice paired comparison method. Visual analog scales were also used to rate intensity and pleasantness of stimuli. So what were the results? In 4 out of 5 RCTs, the participants preferred sweetness level increased after short sleep. Similarly, 2 out of the 2 observational studies, the participants with short sleep times preferred higher levels of sweetness. None of the RCTs found a change in sweet taste recognition or intensity with short sleep. In observational studies, short sleep was inconsistently associated with greater ability to detect sweetness. The included RCTs in observational studies did not report consistent associations between sleep and taste function related to salty, sour, bitter, or umami. However, the evidence was somewhat limited for these tastes. So, in conclusion, essentially, your sleep, if you're doing short sleeps or you are sleep deprived, you have a higher likelihood of having a preference for sweeter tastes. And they're still kind of studying the reason why behind this. But personally, I think it's because when you're short on sleep, your body is low on energy. And what is a quick source of energy? Sugar, right? So that's why I personally think that we probably tend to turn to sugar. Also, lack of sleep will raise our stress levels. And in turn, what isn't more comforting than some nice sugar candy, Halloween candy? So don't stay up too late on Halloween, especially if you have bags of candy in your house, or maybe give away some of that candy to someone else. But yeah, so watch your sleep. It is important. I think we underestimate that a lot when it comes to restraint with certain foods. So now that we have gone over that, I do want to get on to the topic today, which is starting over. We've all been there in one form or another of having to start a fitness routine over. I personally have had to start and stop fitness routines many times due to surgeries or injuries, etc. But also, sometimes you just fall off the wagon and it can be hard to get going again. I think that's one of the hardest things to do. If you fall off for a while, it's just exponentially harder to get back into it. So I wanted to go over some tips of how to do so. Maybe you're coming off of a long break from the gym or a short break where you had a surgery and you're trying to figure out how to jumpstart yourself back into it. And it could be anxiety provoking. It can be just overall, you can dread it, right? And you can procrastinate. Before you know it, your break turns into an infinite break. And we don't want that because your health matters. So first thing you want to do is acknowledge why the break happened. Was it surgery? Was it injury? Was it that you're stressed, didn't have enough time? That sort of thing. And then, just take a moment to understand the why. Say you didn't have surgery at all. Say you just kind of stopped going and then you couldn't get back up. Do you know why that happened? Maybe a little journaling, maybe a little therapy. Maybe you were just frustrated because you weren't seeing the results that you wanted to see. So you decided to quit. And on that note, I will say, I promise you, you will never see the results that you want if you quit. But time passes anyways. So if you keep staying consistent and putting in the work, eventually you will get where you want to be. You will see the results that you want to see, but you won't ever if you quit. So the fastest way to actually reach your goals is to keep going. No matter how long and hard and out of reach it feels, it's definitely going to be out of reach if you don't just keep going and you quit. So one of the best things you can do when you're contemplating getting back into things is, setting new goals. Sometimes even we have mental breaks. I will personally say this. A lot of times when my motivation dips, it almost feels like I've taken a mental break from things where I'm just going through the motions. So that part in itself, kind of depresses me. I'm not going to be real. I am going to be real. When I'm just going through the motions, I hate it. I don't hate the working out. I just hate my mindset around it. And sometimes you need a reset for that. Maybe you just want to enjoy it again. Maybe you want that passion or excitement, the motivation to come back. So that could be a different approach depending on what it is, but also could be similar in some ways. So if you're looking to restart, whether it's a mental restart or actual physical restart, let's go with mental first. Mentally, there's some things you can do that can help. One, try to stay present, but also remember your why. What is your big overall goal? how do you plan to get there? And maybe you need to break it down a little bit and kind of reward yourself along the way a bit more. I think rewarding yourself along the way is severely underestimated because it's a good way to, you know, break it down so you can see progress. Then also you're kind of getting something back. Maybe there's a pair of Jordans that you have wanted for so long that you haven't allowed yourself to buy for yourself until you make a goal of, I'm going to buy these for myself when I do this. That's a pretty good motivating factor. Also, go for some motivation porn. I call, so there's like motivation porn on YouTube. A lot of times when I'm in these phases, I'll watch this stuff before the gym to try to kind of get me hyped up. So that's like motivational YouTube videos with little, clips, excerpts of, I don't know what word I just said, little clips of maybe some movies or motivational speakers, and there's some imagery that goes behind it. That usually gets me pretty hyped up. Or sometimes while I'm even in the gym, I will listen to motivational speeches on Spotify. Those do exist, by the way, if you did not know it. Check those out. There's nothing like being able to listen to some motivational speeches while you're working out. It's almost like having a coach in your ear. One of my favorites is actually, I think during prep and towards the beginning of prep, I was listening to Kobe Bryant speeches basically on repeat because the guy is a beast. And I looked up to that and it really pushed me. It made me motivated. And so sometimes you just find your guy or you find a specific person who motivates you. Sometimes it's just an overall feeling. Maybe it's even music that will get you motivated. Or maybe it's your own goals that'll get you motivated. There's also, I know when I'm feeling a little bit less motivated with bodybuilding, I'll try to watch some bodybuilding movies, specifically maybe some Pumping Iron. I just watched a movie the other day. It was Phil Heath's documentary. That was great. So there's just like little things you could do to kind of reignite that fire in you. And just know that even if you're not feeling that fire, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong or that you need to stop. It could just mean you just need a little refresher. You need to kind of reset your mindset, reset your goals. I wish that we had a reset button like Control-Alt-Delete or some shit on our minds. Wow, that would, it's probably like a lobotomy, but I don't think that's the answer. So I think, sometimes we just need to remind ourselves why we're doing this. That is probably the biggest thing. And sometimes those motivational porn could help you remember the why behind it. So that's my tips for like mental restarts. And if you're already going through the motions and you never quit, but you're just not feeling like you're in your groove. So that's where I recommend the motivational porn, but also accountability and support. So that's also similar if you took a physical break. So let's say you got so fed up, you just quit, or you had a surgery or an injury. No, those are different. So let's say you just quit because you're fed up and you're feeling impatient and you're like, why am I doing this? This is a waste of time. But then months down the road, you're thinking about trying again. Maybe you're doing something wrong. Maybe you're taking a different approach. And that's maybe what you need. Maybe you need to take a different approach. Maybe something like hiring a coach so you have guidance and you're not left with guesswork, wondering if you're even on the right path or if you're doing the right things. That can go a super long way. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a coach, but I'm also a coach who has a coach. And it's very, very helpful to have someone guide you so you don't have to think about it or second guess yourself. I have OCD. It's called the doubting disease for a reason. I second guess fucking everything. So I cannot really, I have coached myself and I did for a very long time. But when it comes to bodybuilding, I prefer to have someone call the shots because I'll fight myself as a coach. So if it is like that kind of break where you just got discouraged, again, find a new why maybe. Break it down into smaller goals and reward yourself along the way. So that is a similar thing to do. And I think those small steps and also knowing that every small step along the way counts. If you fail to acknowledge the small progress, the small steps to your goals, high chance you're going to burn out. So do make sure you are acknowledging those and you are celebrating those. All right. So let's say it's a surgery or injury that got you out of the gym. How do you come back from that? Slowly. Maybe. I mean, the good part about coming back from things after surgery is, for the most part, not always, but motivation might be there. It might even be stronger than it was previously because it was a reminder of how much you actually enjoyed it and you missed it. And now you're just ready to get back to it. So in those cases, you don't want to go too hard too fast because you can still burn out after coming back from an injury. So take it slow. Maybe you used to work out 5 days a week. Maybe take it down to 3 to start and then kind of progressively build back up. And again, maybe you lost a lot of muscle because of being out of the gym, but don't forget, it's going to come back on quicker the second time around, and you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. So know that it will come back, and it's really easy to mindfuck yourself and be like, wow, I lost so much progress. I feel like it's going to take me another 10 years to build back where I was, but that's simply not the case. So I just want to remind you of that. It will come back much quicker than the first time around. Muscle memory is a thing. So I think that about covers most of the scenarios to get back into things. But I think the overall thing that you need to remember that is going to apply to all of these scenarios is that, first, it's okay to struggle. It's okay to struggle getting back into something. Maybe you hated it to start, or maybe you loved it. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just a human experience. It's easy to get discouraged. But the more you go through the motions and you get back into the groove of things, the better it's going to feel. And just try to hold out and don't let it get the best of you. If you're feeling discouraged, just starting back up again, try not to look in the past and be like, oh, wow, I looked so much better back then. I'm never going to get there. So again, remember your why in all of these scenarios. So have your big long-term goal in mind. Break that down into smaller goals, whether it's quarterly goals. Well, you could probably go, year, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily, I guess, if you really want to. That way you have small steps to check off and feel accomplished each day. And you can reward yourself. You can determine how you'd like to reward yourself. It probably depends on what the reward is and your budget. Just don't reward yourself with food if your goal is like fat loss or something along those lines. It's okay to have treats and stuff, but don't make it to be, you're definitely not going to get very far if you keep rewarding yourself with food if you're trying to lose fat. So what are some other things that you can reward yourself with? Again, like I mentioned, the Jordans, whatever your thing is, or maybe it's not a thing. Maybe it's time to relax, time to watch whatever it is you want to watch on YouTube, Netflix, etc. Whatever it is that sounds most appealing to you, that is your thing. Your reward is for you. So you get to make it whatever you want. And yeah, just remember to take it slow as well. I did mention that already, but you don't want to burn yourself out. So going from 0 to 100 is a really, really quick way to do so. And so support, whether you look for a coach or your community, friends, spouse, etc. I feel that we severely underestimate support because that's where accountability comes in. And when you're feeling low, if there's someone there to kind of pick you up and push you forward, it's going to be incredibly helpful. Sometimes we just can't do this shit on our own. As much as we want to, and we want to be independent people that don't need other people. Unfortunately, we are humans and we actually do need other people. Even if you're the most introverted person on the planet, which I often feel I am. But even though I'm extremely introverted, I know damn well I need people and I need help too, as painful as that is to admit sometimes. So yeah. Another thing I forgot, you can use technology. So there's apps out there like habit trackers, or just little apps that send you little boosts of motivation each day. Or sometimes apps even have built-in communities. So if you're really feeling low or like you can't do anything, you could probably turn to those for some encouragement. I mean, hell, even Reddit is a great place to find community and support. So lots of opportunities available with the internet these days. It's going to be here. It has its bad sides, but it also has its good. So use the good and put it to your advantage. All right. So yeah, that basically about wraps it up. I just wanted to address the fact that sometimes we have breaks and we need to restart, and it's not easy, but there are some things you can do to make it just at least a little bit easier. And ultimately, you're not alone. I think the biggest overarching feeling that people get is, damn, like, I fucked up. I stopped. And now I have to start all over again. I might as well just never. But you can't do that. This is fitness. This is health. Or, hey, even if this isn't for your fitness and health, you deserve to strive for your goals, whether it's career, life related, whatever it is. That's what makes life worth living, is striving for those goals. So I encourage you, maybe you're at a place right now where you're wondering, how the hell am I going to restart again? Just one step at a time. One small step at a time, and try not to compare yourself to others and think, oh, well, I just did this, but this is nothing in comparison to what that guy did over there. Because that's a real fast way to keep yourself discouraged and never push yourself forward again. So focus on yourself, stay focused, put your blinders on in your lane of your self-improvement, and celebrate every little small thing along the way. All right. That's it, folks. Thanks so much for listening. I do plan to hopefully get some more guests on here in the future, but if there's anyone in particular you would like to see, definitely let me know. I can reach out, see what I can do. Obviously, I'm a smaller podcast, and it's not like I'm going to be getting, I don't know, I'm not going to get in Tony Robbins or some shit up in here, even if I don't even know if we'd want that. But anyways, let me know if you have any topic suggestions as well. But thank you so much for listening. Feel free to give this a share or a rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And you can also comment on YouTube and also Spotify now. All right, guys. Peace out, and I'll talk to you next time.